My grandparents' big Baptist megachurch always did musicals at Christmas and Easter, so there was always a vague idea of God being someone with frizzy hair and a white bathrobe.
When I was growing up, I would say God looked like, I think, that stereotypical, somewhat cartoonish image of the old man with a white beard in the clouds.
When I was a kid, God looked like Zeus from the Greek mythology books, like a big man with a very long white beard sitting on a throne somewhere, sort of watching everything happen.
When I was a teenager, I really, my views of God really changed, and I thought about Him as a supernatural being that was there to provide for everything that I ever needed, and who was there to love me and take care of me. And that was really orchestrated by my parents and friends and high school students who I was going to school with. So, because of my views changed, I felt that that God was there to protect me rather than to hurt me. Yeah.
One was sort of an intense emotional reaction to the idea of God's sacrifice for us on the cross, and I had a lot of feelings of sympathy and guilt for knowing that He had to make that sacrifice. And then my other primary experience that I can think of when I was a teenager was a lot of intense feelings of guilt for things that I thought I was doing wrong, or the things that I was sinning about, and I thought that if I didn't talk to God about them, then I wouldn't have to acknowledge them to God and wouldn't have to change them.
That's a tough one. When I was a teenager, I think by that point I'd already drifted away from the Methodist church I'd been brought up in, and I wasn't really looking for Him.
So when I was a teenager, I was very blessed to be at a school with a kind of spiritual focus and with a fantastic campus minister. And we participated in retreats, and so a lot of that really led us back to the church. So it was kind of this really cool mix of spirituality and, you know, praise and worship music and kind of communal prayer, but also, and kind of witnessing one another's faiths, but also really drawing us back into the sacraments and, you know, kind of the life of the church as part of that spirituality.
I don't really have a direct answer for this one. I should. It sounds like a really simple question.
I've definitely grown and come to experience and feel God more frequently in my day-to-day life as I've become sort of more, I think, immersed in the community at Trinity and through my parish. I've found that any of these moments where I'm gathered with people and celebrating God or learning about God, be it at Beer and Bible or at church, through choir or hops and hymns, like I feel the connection. I feel the connection of the people around.
The last time I experienced the presence of God was Sunday when I received communion.
This morning, and I was upset about a conversation I'd had with my mom, and my sister came in and just gave me a big hug and started praying, which was is unusual for her, and I really felt God's presence there with us, and in the words that she was saying, and just in her presence. I think God was there too.
I've been told that I'm very teachable, and I think that informs my sense of compassion and peacemaking. I really want to build consensus in whatever environment I'm put into.
I think God's given me a deep sense of empathy for other people, and when I hear their stories, I'm usually able to make an emotional connection to whatever it is they're going through. And I also have a desire to learn about other people and a respect for human difference.
Well, I think that he has given me a compassionate heart, which sometimes is a blessing, and sometimes I say, okay, Lord. And I think he really has given me hope for change.
I do believe God has given me a variety of gifts. He's given me gifts of learning. That is just from the perspective that I love how to learn. I feel the urge to learn new things on a daily basis. He's given me a gift of interaction with different people. I consider myself an open person, open-minded person, or even an extrovert. I also believe, in addition to that, God has given me a gift of music, particularly in drumming. So I like to drum.
I believe God has given me the ability to be self-reflective, and then also the strength and courage to be more vulnerable to Him and with the people around me.
But I really do feel that where I am, I get to use those gifts as part of my professional career, as part of, you know, my personal relationships, and as part of my kind of spiritual community.
I think I use those gifts most often in relationship, and in the ways that I approach how I engage with other people.
I use my gifts to listen, especially when I get the sense that someone just needs someone to listen to.
I would love to be able to use my gifts so that every person that I meet and engage with could know the power of God's never-ending, unfailing love in the way that I have.
I just like to continue to use them the way I always have. I mean, some people have a skill in computers, some people have a skill in auto mechanics, some people have a gift in this, a gift in that. My gift is in the heart. It's with people. So the more I can use that to bring people together, to bring that outside objectivity to a conflict, and bring resolution to people. That's where I want to go. That's what I want.
I would love to use each and every gift that God has given me to expand His kingdom in some shape or the other. I would like to use that opportunity to put to better use those gifts that are given me. For example, if I have an opportunity of being in a worship band, I could use that gift of drumming to worship God. If I meet someone who I don't know and I would like to know more about them, I can use my gift of interaction. I can use the gift of being an open person, like chat with them and kind of learn about their journey, if they're with God, if they're not with God. So to me, it's more about using that gift to bless or touch someone's life.
I think me joining groups, but also pulling other people in, so that my love and faith for God grows as I also bring that to others.
I definitely agree with the opinion that a lot of millennials are falling away from church. I don't think a lot of them are attending. I know a lot of friends who identify as spiritual but not religious. And I do think it's a problem. I don't think it's because they're not receptive to the message of the gospel. I think we're very receptive, but I think we're also aware of the complicated implications of a very simple message. And I think, to a certain extent, a lot of churches are refusing to acknowledge the complications. You don't have to look very far to see that the world is a very broken and sad place often. And I think, well, I certainly hope that the millennials will turn to the church as a way of helping to combat those influences in whatever large or small way each person can find.
But there's been a lot of talk about how my generation wants to make a difference and make a change. And while certainly that could be secular, I have a hard time believing that that is completely secular. The desire to kind of make our world better, I think, comes out of faith and spirituality and wanting good for others and wanting to see the Lord in others.
I believe that my generation is a generation that is bombarded with different situations. For example, I've heard a lot about people saying that we are a lost generation. Because if you think in the 50s and the 60s, religion was totally different from how it looks like today. So one thing that I agree with what I've read about is there are a remnant of youth who are out there who are passionately and interested in knowing more about it.
We're trying to get more involved, but we're also trying to understand it more. There's a lot of, for the longest time, it's just been, it's been a hand-me-down story. And now our generation is starting to question the why, the basic questions. Where did it come from? Who did it come from? Why? In a way, go back to re-explore the roots of it all. I think with anything that needs to be done once in a while, just to bring that perspective back around again.
Definitely that we're a bit more transient. As I think as millennials, we do tend to bounce about a bit more. We do have a bit of a different way of doing things, and I think we're looking for a way to engage in faith that makes sense to us in the world that we live in, politically, socially, and on so many different fronts. Something that I've read and definitely heard about my generation and faith is that we're not interested. And I, as somebody who actually actively spent time sort of looking for the right connection, I think that, and I've talked to others who've done something similar. We are very interested. We definitely are looking for a way to engage in faith.
So, I mean, as many people know, my generation is very much, I don't think accused is the right word, but we'll say accused, of not being religiously engaged or not desiring to be religiously. So, while I think there has been a shift from, a generation or two ahead of me to mine, I think that the people that are in the church are really passionate about being in the church. The people my age who are in the church, I don't think are there because they feel like they have to be. I think they're there because they want to be, and they are in the pew.
I definitely disagree with assumptions that we're not willing to look at the truth of the gospel. We as a generation are very willing to engage with that, maybe not in a way that people normally do in the generations ahead of us.
I disagree with the notion that every young person of faith dislikes or rejects the traditions of the church. It's been my experience as an Episcopalian that a lot of the young people who sort of find the Episcopal Church are actually very deeply attracted to liturgy and to the Eucharistic service especially, and sort of to the old ways of doing that service. And I actually have seen sort of a trend against wanting looser worship to wanting something that has that structure and I think the history of it.
You know, I've read that we're not interested in religion very much, but what I really think is we're a generation that's been marketed to for our entire lives, and we're not going to buy all of the smoke and mirrors anymore. We're looking for something real and something that strikes us as real, and we're not going to settle for, I don't know, just a sell. So it's not that I don't think we're interested in religion, it's that I think we're just tired of people trying to sell us something.
In 6 words, my spiritual journey has been refinding God and finding deeper faith.
Messy. It's been messy. It's also been beautiful. At times it's been painful and complicated, but through all of it, it's been worth it.
Would be a constant rediscovery and response to God's love.
Ongoing, challenging journey full of grace.
It's an ongoing pilgrimage. Unexpected, definitely. Often hard, but beautiful.
It's an ongoing, crazy, wild, interesting, sometimes backwards. It's still ongoing. It hasn't finished. For all I know, it's barely even started.
Surprising, challenging, and full of grace.